Welcome to Sinful's Horror Stories. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe now for future content. And if you would like one of your true scary stories featured on an upcoming video, email my email in the description box below at the end of this video. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas and has a Happy New Year. I can't believe 2022 has already come to pass. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Oh, and be sure to like the video, because you know that shit helps. So this was 2 years ago. I live in a townhouse in a pretty suburban area. There are 3 fields surrounding the area I live in. Anyways, I was home alone and it was very late at night. My mom and her boyfriend were up north for the weekend. I was making some food when I heard strange noises, like banging on the walls. I brushed it off because I have noisy neighbors, but I was really paranoid, so I texted my neighbor, asked if they were home or not. They weren't, so I really started freaking out. I'm home alone, my neighbors aren't either, and it's 2 a.m. The banging noises got louder. It sounded like it was from my basement. Maybe it was my washer or something, and then I calmed down a little. I went to the basement, like some stupid fool in a horror movie, to see if it was just my laundry. Turns out that's not on. I left the basement quickly, panic rushing back to me. I just went to my room, totally forgetting about my food, and sat on my bed. I ended up laying down. Now, a little break from the story. I have the master bedroom in my house and I have 2 closets. One is a walk-in, and the other one is a regular-sized closet. My walk-in closet has a light, but the light barely works. Okay, back to the story. Out of the corner of my eye, I see that the light in my closet is on, which is really weird for me because it doesn't work. I literally want to cry. Like, why is this happening to me? Again, like a dumb fool from a horror movie, I opened my closet door and the light shut off, and I could barely make it out. But a tall, skinny figure was standing in the very back of my closet. I closed the door and I felt like screaming, but I didn't. I ended up going outside for a while and sat on a bench outside my house. I don't really know if it was just me seeing things, or if I really saw something paranormal, or maybe there was a man in my house waiting to attack me. I was dog sitting, so when I got home every day around 2:30 p.m., I would take out the dog for a fairly long walk. I do think it is important to note that we took the same route at the same time every day. Other important notes. It is winter in Canada, so it's very cold, and there were not a large amount of people around, mostly just other people walking their dogs, but also a few people on their way somewhere, or walking for exercise. We took this walk through the park, which is really just a trail near my house, and while it is kind of isolated for the most part, you're within shouting distances of homes. However, there is an optional section of the path, which leads into a more secluded area. Imagine the path as a straight line, and this section is a semicircle that connects to it on both ends, quite literally a detour. And while I am naturally anxious and a paranoid person, the dog really enjoyed this part of the walk. I'm assuming because she could smell animals or wildlife, and also it is mostly taken by people with dogs, and you know how much dogs love to mark their territory. One day while we were walking this section of the path, a man in a very distinctive blue jacket appears, and while he gives me bad vibes, there is no interaction between us, and he is headed in the opposite direction, so it is fairly unremarkable. Let me mention I have never seen this man before. The very next day while we were headed to that area of the path, another man in a silver jacket passes us, but also is moving slower than is normal. Because I have a dog, we stop every few feet to investigate, and are not moving at a regular walking pace. However, this man stays close enough that he remains in my line of sight until he arrives at the bridge. The bridge is pretty much at the entrance to this detour. At the bridge, he stops and is on his phone, just kind of waiting there. This man also gives me that awful gut feeling, but I'm assuming that he was just waiting for someone, and try not to be worried about it. Weirdly, as we approach the bridge, he turns and starts walking back towards us. I'm feeling creeped the fuck out and also dealing with some nausea issues unrelated to this, so we don't take that detour that day because I just want to be lying down at home as soon as possible. As we continue on, I glance back and the man in the silver jacket is back on the bridge, waiting, so I don't really know what the whole seeming like he was going to head back as we went across the bridge was about, but whatever. As we are continuing on our way, we run into that man in the blue jacket again. I've never seen this guy before, and now here he is 2 days in a row at the same time. I think he was also on his phone, though I'm not sure. Anyway, we just keep moving and he is headed toward the man on the bridge. This pretty much concludes the first interaction with these men, and really it's easy to explain it all away as me being overly paranoid, and them being normal people, not out looking to hurt or assault anyone. I continue to walk the dog at the same time every day. However, we now always skip the detour just to make me feel safer, and we do not see that man in the blue coat again. A week or so later, the dog and I are on our usual walk. As we approach the bridge, who should appear but the man in the silver jacket? And no, not Santa Claus, because that shit's over with. Again, just kind of waiting by the bridge. He appears from off the side of the path, and quite frankly, I straight up turn around and head back the way we came. Shortly before the bridge, the path has an offshoot that leads to up behind my house, so we head that way instead. This is probably fairly obvious to the man in the silver jacket, as we would have passed that offshoot, and when we see him, we straight up just turn around. This day, the weather was objectively not good. It was really cold and also snowing, so there were even fewer people around than is normal, and I wasn't willing to risk it. I firmly live by my motto, you only have to be wrong once to end up dead. A mom is driving to the airport 1 hour away from her home to pick up her daughter. The route she is taking is a long, desolate road. This is no man's land with no signs of human activity anywhere except the paved road. There are no buildings along this road, no trees, only the sea on the left and hills to the right. There's very limited cell phone reception. Very early in her trip, she passes this very bland-looking white station wagon, driving through an area with road construction. She is in a hurry to get to the airport, and is driving at a moderately high speed. As she does this, she sees his headlights in her rearview mirror fade about a mile back. Then suddenly they start gaining on her as they are getting further down the desolate road. They are now in an area with no cell reception, and this man closes the distance at a high speed, pulls up alongside of her. He looks to be in his mid-30s, slightly bearded guy. His head is all the way near the roof of the car, probably around 6'4", and looks entirely too large for that car, with heavy eyebrows and just an all-around angry-looking face. He motions her to pull over and she can lip-read him saying, "Stop, pull over," while looking at her with a stinging, angry expression. She starts to slow down and comes to a crawl. The guy falls behind her car as if he is pulling her over. She now realizes how stupid this is and how vulnerable she is, all alone out there and stopping for this very angry-looking man. There is absolutely nothing around for miles. She picks up speed and decides that whatever this guy wants, it's probably not good. He instantly pulls up alongside of her again and makes a hand gesture to pull over and stop. His face is still angry, and he's doing this at a very high rate of speed. He does not. He has now fallen back and is following her, keeping his distance like some sort of cat and mouse. For 40 minutes he is following her. She's trying to rationalize some part of this. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe he lives in the next town and will turn off somewhere soon. This does not happen. The next town comes and goes, and this guy is still right behind her. The third town is now approaching, and she decides to try and confirm her fears. She does some random twists and turns, and even a full 360 turn in an intersection. He follows her exact pattern. Her fears are now 100% confirmed. This guy is relentlessly following her without flinching. She is in full panic mode now, crying hysterically, and she needs the police to come get this guy. Now. She calls the cops and they have her stay on the line with them and guide her to their location, which is just off the highway. She pulls in where 3 police cruisers have set up a sort of roadblock in their driveway, and 6 officers are ready to tackle this creep. She's finally safe. As she is now realizing the gravity of the situation, with all of these blue flashing lights and all of these officers rushing towards the creeper's car, she feels like her heart is going to jump out of her chest. Just primal fear at its finest. Thank you guys for watching and listening to the end. I get a lot of comments about a few recent re-uploads that I have made. I don't receive a single story from any of you guys, so if you guys want me to continue to put out new content, you have to be involved. We have to collaborate together. So please send me stories. Until we meet again, stay sinful.